Hey everybody, well today we're going to be looking at question 7 of the new City Catechism. Question 7 asks, what does the law of God require? And the answer is personal, perfect, and perpetual obedience. That we love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love our neighbor as ourselves. What God forbids should never be done, and what God commands should always be done. The passage that goes along with this question is Matthew 22:37-40, which reads, And Jesus said to them, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments depend all the law and the prophets. Now this question builds on the last one. If part of glorifying God is obeying his law, then we should know what his law requires. And question 7 smacks us in the face with a difficult truth. God's law requires personal, perfect, and perpetual obedience. The Apostle James makes this point in James 2:10, where he writes, For whoever keeps the whole law but fails in one point has become guilty of all of it. And in case you were wondering if there's any wiggle room, Jesus dispels that notion entirely in his Sermon on the Mount when he says, You therefore must be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Loving God with everything that we are and our neighbor as ourselves, this is what the law of God requires. Now, even the smallest degree of introspection would cause us to recognize that we fall far short of this standard. But the good news of the gospel, as Juan Sanchez reminds us, is that Jesus came to do what we ourselves could not do. And why? Love. Paul reminds us of this in Romans 5:8 when he writes, But God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So I want to encourage you this week to take some time to contemplate the law of God. Think about its requirements. Think about his standards and your failure so that you might more fully celebrate, appreciate the love that God has shown you in the gospel. Oliver is going to send us out now with the kids' version of question 7. Grace and peace. What does the law of God require?
That we love God with all our heart.
Yeah, and?
With ourselves.
We love God with all our hearts and our neighbor.
And our neighbor as ourselves.
Very good. Good job, bud. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.